Hey everyone, hope you're doing well, staying safe, and staying warm. So this week, I wanted to just do a quick presentation on the issues of ethics in open source investigations. It's a it's a really broad area, really requires, open source investigation, open source intelligence is such a new and very quickly evolving area, and the ethics, unfortunately, just have not really kept up. Um, but I wanted to just prepare a couple big slides for you, some takeaways to think about. Um, really enjoyed the discussion on the discussion board. Um, but here are a couple things. So first of all, this chart is actually from a conference proceedings, and I really like it because I think it really um, hones in on some of the key issues that we're facing right now. So the first table talks about the police uses or law enforcement investigation uses of social media. So obviously there are issues under kind of the legal umbrella, which we've talked about and will continue to talk about. Then you have the ethical issues, the issues of privacy, potential discrimination, unfair access or fairness in general, and then obviously the private life and certainly while it's not highlighted, freedom of expression there is an issue. Then on the other side, you have this idea that you have now kind of citizen investigators, people with no formal training or background in law enforcement or legal or anything like that. And this term do-it-yourself policing is really interesting, right? So while certainly there is, importance of accountability and transparency and being able to kind of crowdsource, if you will, information sharing, there are a lot of challenges here. We've seen this play out, frankly, in the last couple weeks, unfortunately. Um, Sometimes there are just things that the law enforcement can't do, um, you know, resource-wise or legally. Um, and so how do we as law enforcement or government agencies deal with issues where, we have these citizens who are providing us data? There are challenges, right? There are challenges with the dark web. There are challenges that are legal. There are challenges that are ethical, right? And how do untrained people distinguish between things that are illegal or things that are merely offensive or just not, but don't fall into the illegal realm, right? So again, entrapment, huge issue. Then table 5, I really like, has this ethical criteria. What are the risks? What are, you know, is it possible that going out there could potentially stigmatize people as criminally suspicious when in fact they're actually not, right? So in this kind of goes for both sides of the coin, both law enforcement, government, and citizens. It just these are huge, huge issues. And so the way I like to break it down on the right hand side is this idea of, so you have big data, right? Open source is essentially big unaggregated data. So you have ethical issues with collection, you have ethical issues with storage, and then you have ethical issues in usage. So that's kind of how I break it down as a potentially useful model. If we move to the next slide, how might we actually be able to do this? Well, what do you do? Um, there are 4 areas you need to identify it, you need to get the facts, you need to evaluate the alternatives, and test and evaluate the decision. And these questions, right? This idea of bringing options is, I think, very, very important. I will make these slides available as well, so you can actually download them. The other thing to think about is this idea of professional responsibility. And so many professional organizations have codes of conduct or standards, right, where they need to do that. And you need to, as a professional, adhere to these. So these are from the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, which is what one of the organizations that I am a part of. And so you can see, you have to be able to meet all of these standards, right? Um, and that's really important. So that's another avenue to think about and frame these issues, these ethical issues within the context of the investigation. I also like this one from the Society of Professional Journalists because, again, a lot of journalists are moving in this direction. And so their four key pieces are to seek the truth, report it, being accurate, honest, and fair, minimize the harm, act independently, and be accountable and transparent. And of course, how do they do that? Verifying, right? Um, making it relevant. This idea of avoiding just being, nosy, essentially. But it really comes down to accuracy, right? If you're not accurate and you don't care, that's negligent and that's really, really problematic. Um, so, right, there are all these issues. So, I hope this was helpful and I hope that you enjoyed our quick discussion. If you have any questions, let me know. Please feel free to leave them on the discussion board and we will talk to you soon. Have a great week.